Thanks for joining us. Mark Mancuso with you here in the Forecast Center. And dangerous Hurricane Fran. It's picking up a little bit of a speed, and it's also making a little bit of a turn from the northwest to the north-northwest. Those are the big changes that we've seen overnight and early this morning. Let's give you the particulars and show you where the storm is. The very latest advisory from the Hurricane Center. As of 8 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time, wind still 115, pressure still hanging in there around 954 millibars. Category 3 on the Saffir-Simpson scale. 30.8 north, 77.2 west. That makes the center about 250 miles southeast of Charleston, South Carolina. Satellite picture shows you the eye of the storm there, just kind of wobbling its way here off towards the north-northwest, and the greatest areas threatened would be northern South Carolina and southeastern North Carolina. In this zone right in through here, you'll have to be most concerned with those damaging winds, torrential rains, and a storm surge of up to, say, 16 feet or so. Notice around the center, we do see these spiral bands, these large orange areas just kind of hurling around the center, and you can see one of those bands nearing the coast of South Carolina. As we take a look at the Doppler radar this morning, you can see the large rain shield with the storm, and here comes one of those bands taking aim on South Carolina's northern coast there, and here's Myrtle Beach right here, and you see that rain just beginning to pick up and move on in. Up the coast in North Carolina, here's Wrightsville Beach, and you can see they're just on the edge of that band there, but up to the north you can see other heavy showers popping up here just inland from the Morehead City area and headed right up the Neuse River towards the New Bern. So that's what we have going on the radars. And the reason why I mentioned Myrtle Beach and Wrightsville Beach is just because we have Weather Channel's Jeff Morrow and Jim Cantori standing by to give us live reports. And if we can go to Jeff and Jim, we'll show you what's going on in the coastal areas. When we first checked in with Jeff, it was pretty quiet. Jeff, things have changed.
Yeah, things have changed, Mark. The rain is coming down steadily. It's still a light rain. I guess we're on the outer fringe of some of those bands you were talking about. When we first came out early this morning, you actually could see the moon out, and there were some breaks in the clouds. That's not the case anymore. It's a solid gray overcast, even still a little bit darker off on the horizon. We changed our shot direction here. We're no longer looking northeast, Mark. We're looking to the southeast, and down the beach here, you might be able to see a little bit of a pier, and there are some folks, lifeguards, taking some umbrellas off the beach kind of at the last moment. So they're trying to get everything tied down, some of the loose things that could maybe fly around in the winds of Fran as it starts to come on shore. But again, the conditions continue to deteriorate here, Mark, and we expect that it won't get better probably until sometime toward the weekend.
All right, thank you, Jeff. And now we'll go up the coast to North Carolina to Wrightsville Beach with Jim Cantori. And Jim, I can hear the waves crashing behind you. It looks pretty rough.
Oh, yeah, Mark, no doubt about it. Waves have been on the increase all morning. As a matter of fact, if you look behind me here, you see directly the Wrightsville Beach Pier. And out toward the end of that pier, as we're going to show you, is what Bertha did to about 75 to 100 feet of this thing. Took a big chunk off of it, and the guess is, and the money's on, when is the rest of this pier going to go with Fran? Well, perhaps tonight we'll find out the answer to that. But you can see these breakers coming in, crashing, and no doubt the spray heading off toward the south. We have a pretty stiff northeast wind right now, continuing to blow in, maybe at about 15 to 20, occasional gusts up to 30 miles an hour. But again, we've noted in the last 10 minutes to 30 minutes, a lot of the guys here with the Beach Authority have been boarding up this restaurant building, and they have almost got that completed. They're now on the other side. You can see the windows now boarded up here, and they're going to be doing the other side of that. So all the last-minute preparations are well underway here, and we're definitely confident that they'll be prepared for Fran, which, Mark, you can answer this question. Is this thing going to be a Cat 4, do you think, or is it going to stay at Category 3?
Well, Jim, we've been looking at it very closely this morning, of course, and Fran has yet to move across the Gulf Stream waters there. It's getting very close to those Gulf Stream waters, and as you know, as these storms get closer to that Gulf Stream, move over the Gulf Stream, there is a chance the storm could get a little energized. But also with these storms, we tend to look in the morning hours for time for some intensification, and we're kind of figuring if this storm doesn't really start to show signs of intensification by later on this morning, early this afternoon, we may not see much in the way of any significant change before this makes landfall, which is anticipated tonight. And Jeff, I know you between breaks there, you said you were going to run over and check out that Doppler radar. Did you get a chance to check it out?
Yeah, we did run over and talk to some of the folks there. They're still gathering the information, but they pretty much repeated to me what you told me a little bit earlier, Mark, was that we've got some real heavy bands not too far offshore, and they'll be rotating in probably within the next hour or two. By the way, Jim, the guys there with the University of Oklahoma and that Doppler said they're probably going to be heading up your way a bit later on, so you may be able to talk to them as well.
Well, you tell them to bring that Doppler radar with them, because we'll look at all sorts of stuff on that. And maybe Mark, too, you've been doing an excellent job with the Doppler, Mark. Show some of the radial velocity and whatnot, and explain to the folks that, hey, you know, we have a stiff wind field coming into the coastline here, and you may be able to see a little bit of that on the radial velocity. Jeff, is the rain really picking up down your way, or is it pretty much just a steady light rain at this time?
It's a steady light rain, Jim. I was watching some of your shots yesterday, and I noticed that you were pretty wet early in the day. By contrast, down in Hilton Head, it was a beautifully sunny day, perfect beach day, but I can't say that today. It's a steady light rain, and I'm sure, looking offshore here and seeing how dark it is, it's going to get a lot heavier. And Mark, I suspect as we keep talking to you through the morning, conditions will worsen, and our surf will start to rise as well.
Indeed they shall. And Jim, you read my mind with those radial velocities. We're going to try and take a look at those next hour if we can.
Right.
So that should be pretty interesting. Well, let's show you what's going on with the satellite picture. And gentlemen, you guys hang tough there. Okay. And as we head to the satellite picture, you can see the center of the storm still a long ways offshore. They're a couple hundred miles or so. There's the eye right down in through here. And notice right along the coast where Jeff and Jim are located, they're just on the edge of some of the significant weather there. Again, we go to the big radar screen here. Here's South Carolina. Here's North Carolina. And down here, you can see the rain just kind of swirling around. And this is where we think the center of the storm is, right down and through here, the center of Fran. But notice, between the center of Fran and the coast, there is some serious business to be dealt with in through here in terms of very heavy rains, tropical storm force winds located just offshore and through here. So you can see some of those squalls just nicking the coast of South Carolina. They'll be coming on in during the next couple of hours. See tropical storm force conditions moving into here very shortly. And then in the hurricane-warned area, by later on this afternoon, in particular tonight in this zone here, you'll be looking at the damaging winds, and we'll have some serious business to be dealt with in through here. Strike probabilities, again, pointed right at the north and South Carolina coast, extreme southern coast of North Carolina. And it looks like the storm will be making landfall, the center of circulation, probably around midnight tonight. There you can see the large windshield, and with this huge windshield, getting kind of concerned about water piling up in these inland waterways in southeastern North Carolina. Towns like Washington, Belhaven, and New Bern there could be underwater with the storm surge coming up. The sounds there, and on the coast, low-lying areas, probably anywhere into a half-mile away from the coast, could be looking at some water coming on in as the storm surge could be running from 8 to about 16 feet. Now, again, as Jim mentioned, will this storm strengthen? Well, the Gulf Stream waters are right in through here. Here's our center of circulation. The storm has great outflow over it, so it has that going for it. But it has these warm Gulf Stream waters out ahead of it. So that is the big question mark, is will that energize the storm a little bit more and strengthen it, or will it just continue to go along as a Category 3, which is still a very dangerous storm? So those are the questions that are awaiting us later on this morning. And, of course, the hurricane hunter is investigating the storm. That is what we'll be checking on to see if there are any signs of pressure is dropping. But inland, the old upper lows in through here, a little weakness up to the north. That has allowed a corridor for this storm to move towards the north-northwest. Should continue to move north-northwest. And with that storm moving north-northwest in the interior sections, there will be problems with winds and rains, power outages, and trees and tree limbs being knocked down. So not only at the coast, but inland, this will be a significant storm. And then, of course, the flooding threat. And with more on that, here's Cheryl.